is a mathematical equation, not an emotional decision. You see, the question is not if Facebook ads will work, it's when it works and how that looks for you. If it was easy, everybody would be running a 7-figure brand, but it isn't. It takes passionate leadership, smart operations, and powerful marketing to truly win. And with the right frameworks and mindset, anything is possible. You only fail when you decide to quit. When life gets tough, you get tougher. When the campaigns tank, you get wiser. When it feels like nothing is working, you push harder. And when you're winning, you remember that feeling. Strive for greatness. Don't settle for average results. Fight like your family, team, customers, and business depend on it, because they do. This is the E-Commerce Alley.
Hey, what's up? Welcome everybody to the E-Commerce Alley Facebook group weekly live stream. I'm your host, Josh Coffee. Like the drink, but more caffeinated. And with me, I have my other co-host who is also caffeinated, just not as much. And that is my fellow brother, Jacob Coffee. So Jake, welcome to the club. Welcome to the live stream.
For welcome me every live stream.
You're welcome.
This is gonna be such a good session. I'm pumped for today.
Yeah, I'm just pumped for like when your camera's focused. You can't even tell, but hold on, switch. Well, we'll switch to the camera. Anyway, it's probably gonna be fixed by then. Everyone, hey, we're excited that you're here. This is gonna be kind of a little bit of a different style of a live stream and what we're gonna do, because this actually has a workbook to go with it. Now, you've probably never done a live stream with a workbook with me, and that's because we only do workbooks and fun stuff like this inside the Max Profits Mentorship, which is our coaching and education program. But that said, let's just go ahead. I wanna know who's hanging out here with us. If you're hanging out, go ahead and drop your favorite emoji in the chat so we get a couple names popping in there. And then also, if you wanna show us some extra love, hit the like button a lot and then throw it in the feed of everybody else who's not yet here, so that way it gets in their feed and they show up.
Awesome. We have Miss Candy hanging out with us. Carrie Punches in the house. BJ Solomon, Jacob Coffee, Andrew Coffee, Josh Coffee, Miss Kelsey Coffee, Dylan Counts the producer. This live stream is going to be solid gold.
Oh man!
Yeah.
Straight from the last event we had.
Yeah,
we have a whole pile of. Show them. We have a whole.
I don't know.
Treasure chest.
The coins
of
might
gold.
spill everywhere. This is a prop from one of our last events. Can you see it?
That's not a prop. That's real.
It's yeah. Sorry, this is real gold from our last event. It's what you'll get by attending this live stream.
Heck yeah! You know.
Tim Clark in the house. Eric Stone. Betsy Wild. Awesome.
Awesome. Well,
Casey
hey,
Kluver.
We're excited that you're all here. We're gonna go ahead, if it's okay with everybody. We're just gonna go ahead and dive in here. And so today what we're gonna be talking about, and just quick note, we have the workbook here. Our team has dropped the link in the chat. So the workbook, you'll see it kind of looks like this here. We have this handsome looking fella right here. And we're gonna talk about the $1 million brand like model. How do we build a freedom business? This business that gives us the freedom and the goals that we really have for why we probably got into business. And so this model that we're gonna break down is gonna kind of show you what the elements are and how they kind of all play a big role together. So if you haven't downloaded this and you're like, hey, I'm a print out and follow along kind of a guy or gal, then please go do that. You'll have the link in the chat as well. If you're watching the replay, by the way, you should have the link in the event page for this. So go ahead, you could grab it. We're gonna be working out of this. And that said, so how we kind of got here was we've been doing this for over 10 years now. We've lived in the marketing world. It's kind of molded what we've done over time. But if you're not familiar with E-Commerce Alley and a lot of our beliefs, you'll come to know that we have a heavy emphasis on two really big marketing channels. And these two channels are what we generally see drive majority of the revenue for the businesses that we work with. And it doesn't matter if it's like a brand new business or it's a business that's doing like $50 million a year. the dollar numbers will change, but the percentages stay the same between these two marketing activities. And so what's kind of interesting is over time, as we have done this, we have started to see this breakdown of where does most revenue come from as a percentage. So if we're looking here, there are two channels that we like to look at. So we have channel number 1, we have channel number 2, and then we'll just call this number 3 right now. And so this channel number 1 generally produces what we see 50 to 60. It's usually responsible for 50 to 60% of overall revenue in e-commerce businesses. Now, some of these things will kind of change based on, if you're not advertising at all, then this number might be a little bit different here. But generally, 50 to 60% come in this first category. And in the second category, we usually see 20 to 30% of revenue. In the second category here, and then everything else, and let me kind of zoom in here so we can all see this. This other little small accounts for everything else. Okay, so this is the revenue breakdown. So this is the general breakdown of revenue for e-commerce businesses. Now, does anybody know, some of you alumni, does anybody know what number 1 is? Drop it in the chat. If you know what number 1 is, that produces 50 to 60% of revenue, drop that in the chat. What's that?
I've already seen some all-stars in the comments, so you can't hide. Those of you who've been around a minute, you should know this for sure. If not, I don't know. We probably aren't doing our jobs right.
Somebody that rhymes with airy clunches. We'll know the answer to this.
Raise your hand.
If that's you.
We have Carrie ads, Candy ads, Jennifer Goldberger. Welcome to the live stream. Good to have you. Says Facebook. So we got a few different answers coming in.
So yes, we generally see this from ads. And let me just put paid in parentheses here. So generally 50 to 60% we see come from some sort of paid ad source, all right? So 50 to 60% is coming from that. Now, why is that? Well, it's because it's predictable. If you're doing social and organic and all these other things, it's not as predictable as when I pay X amount of dollars to acquire a customer. Then I want X amount of customers, I take X dollars times X customers equals X amount of ad spend to acquire X amount of customers. And so it becomes a mathematical equation, not an emotional decision. So the first one is paid ads. Now, second one, if you know the second one, drop that in the chat. You already know where this is going. If you're one of the alumni, if you're not, then you're about to learn today.
Billboards.
Number 2, 20 to 30%. Billboards and direct mail. Maybe not, but drop that in the chat. What do you think that is? And if there are any NPMers in here and you get this wrong, any Max Profits mentorship clients, you're fired. No, I'm just kidding.
You're fired from the program. Carrie says radio. That's a good answer. Right next to shaker boarding. Is that what that's called? Where you hold the sign up?
Something like that.
Yeah. Miss Kit, email. Love it. Farmers markets.
All right. We know we got some NPMers in here. All right, cool. So 20 to 30% we generally see come from email. And I also lump in /SMS. So fun little interesting thing that we've seen is it doesn't matter if you do only email or only SMS or both of them, the percentage is still 20 to 30%. Don't ask me why. Yes, texts have higher open rates, but my conspiracy theory hypothesis is that if you're sending them the email and the text, they'll probably see the text and they'll just buy from it. But if you didn't send them the text, they would still buy from the email. So that's my hunch. But so we say 20 to 30% comes from email and SMS. And then this other little teeny sliver over here is what we see everything else. And we know these numbers only because a lot of the clients we work with have super fancy schmancy tracking attribution tools like Hyros and Triple Well and Northbeam. And we're able to see the life journey of customers. We're able to see their first point of entry. We're able to see their last point of entry. We're able to see how long it took them to get to the last point of entry in every subsequent purchase after that. And the metrics show it doesn't matter the dollar amounts, whether you're doing $5,000 a month or $50,000 or $500, the percentages are the same. 50 to 60% from ads or a paid source, and 20 to 30% from email and SMS. And then you take organic, and you take sign waving, and you take billboards, and you take social media, and you take all those other things, and you piece them together, and they all fit into this little red quadrant right here. And that's usually like 10 to 20%. So this is a typical revenue breakdown. So why am I sharing this? Well, I'm sharing this because where dollars are being focused and that's where we have the most momentum in our business. And so if our dollars are being focused on lower revenue producing activities, then we're gonna have a longer time to realize the return on those. Or it's gonna be a very, very slow growth. And so what we wanna do is instead of just kind of doing a little bit of everything, we've all done this, we come into business and everyone tells us you need to get a TikTok account. Oh, and TikTok Shops, by the way. And then you gotta get every social media account, and then you gotta be on X, and now Elon owns it. So you really gotta be on it if you're a business and advertise on there, and then Google, and then Facebook, and then there's all these things, and we become very diversified in our attention. And there is a great book out there called Essentialism, I'm a huge fan of, and the gist is, if you want to really make progress in the meaningful things in life, it's essential that you stop doing the things that aren't essential and you say no to a lot more things. And if you look at your business, you might be over here on the left-hand side, and if you look at your attention might look like this, where you are spending a lot of time doing a lot of different things. Oh, I'm doing farmers markets. Oh, I'm doing billboards. Oh, I'm spinning signs. Oh, I'm doing Facebook. Oh, I'm super wildly burnt out. Or we could say, okay, well, what if instead we focus on one thing or maybe two things, and then we become a lot happier and we make a lot more money? Does that sound fair to everyone? Does everyone want to make a lot more money? If that, and I'm just not saying this is guaranteed to happen. All I'm saying is that if you do this, you probably will, because that's what we've observed. So if you want to make a lot more money, drop that in the chat. Say, make more money, spend less time on crappy things that take all my time and burn me out.
Most people we talk to like not making money, actually. They just like to be the frowny face.
Yeah. Candy said TikTok Shop is the worst thing ever. There's actually an episode. Fun fact, everybody. Plug for the podcast, the Ecommerce Alley podcast. Go search it on anywhere. And we have an episode dropping on Monday about TikTok Shops and how they are the Wild West and the opportunity. We have somebody that actually I interviewed who is crushing it on there, and he breaks down how it works and how you should take advantage of it as quickly as possible. So we bumped his episode to release right away. Anyway.
Love it. Awesome. Well, Seneca put that emoji where the money's coming out of the mouth. So that is the probably the best, most appropriate emoji for that. So good job. Kristen Field ready to make more money. Second best thing is winning the box of gold from Carrie.
Hey, everyone wants to win the box of gold. It's a good box of gold. Okay, cool. Well, so if that's what this is looking like, what I want to do is I want to show you. So we have to be very focused with our attention. But the question becomes, what does that actually look like from like a really tangible, practical standpoint in my business? And so if you will turn with me in your books to page 2. There are only like 5 pages, so there's not that many to turn to. So I want to walk through what we believe is the $1 million model. And ultimately, like $1 million, like that's great. Some of you watching this right now are already doing $1 million. You're like, hey, Josh, check, right? I'm doing $1 million. But most importantly, the question is your business giving you what you started out to achieve, right? We all probably worked for someone else. That's usually how it starts, unless you just launched an entrepreneurship from nothing right out of high school. We all usually start businesses because we have these aspirations. We have these things that we desire. And if you're maybe like me and you dig really deep, despite all the money, despite the dollars that you earn, right here in the center, we ultimately start businesses for freedom. We ultimately start businesses to say, hey, how do I get back time? How do I have flexibility to make what I want to make, to have this unlimited income earning potential, to allow me freedom to travel, to have nice things that I really enjoy, to pursue my hobbies that were so expensive that I couldn't afford them because that guitar is really expensive, or to be able to be very generous and to help people and to live the life that we really want to live. So usually that means we want time freedom, we want some control of our time, and we also want financial freedom. Those are usually the two freedoms that we're often seeking. But what happens is we get into our business and things start to happen. And then suddenly we're in the business, and instead of working for like one boss, we have like 417 bosses a month to place orders with us, and some of them are totally cool and they're happy, and then the other ones are like, hey, wait a second, you didn't send this in 3 hours delivery to my house, and I want a refund, and we deal with those kinds of bosses, right? And so we get into business and we want to create systems. We want to grow a lot of times. And if you're like me, this is me, by the way, maybe I'm speaking to you, maybe I'm not. I want a team. I want flexibility to travel. We're super weird here at the E-commerce Alley. Every year, our team goes on an all expense paid team retreat and we bring our plus ones. So what that means is like, we're pretty much vacationing with all of our team and their spouses, which feels a little weird, right? That's not a normal company behavior, but I want to do that. I love that. Like we're kind of like a family here. And so we love to do those types of things. But you need freedom to be able to do that, and financially to be able to afford those things, but then also to have the time freedom and have even the things in place to build the team to that point without like exhausting all of your dollars and feeling like you're just constantly burned out. And so if I dig real deep, for me, and maybe this is you, I want a freedom business that provides this degree of freedom for me in my life. And if we want to do this, there are 3 big things that we kind of need to do. The first thing is we need to master the art of learning how to attract. And this is not attracting people, but rather, spouses, but we're talking visitors here, all right? So we need to attract visitors to our website. We have to be able to attract people in order to get customers, right? So we have to master the art of attraction. The next step is, once we get those people, well, what do we need to do? We need to master the art of how we convert those visitors into customers. So we need to learn how to attract people, get those people to then buy from us. And in the process of doing that, this, by the way, side note, what I'm about to show this last component is where a lot of us get stuck. So this is the part where you just kind of like say, Josh, what is that one thing that we all get stuck with? And it's multiple things, but it would be summed up in the word scale. And when I say scale, I mean your resources. Now, resources generally come in 2 forms: time and money. And part of the reason we have a lot of trouble building this freedom business is we're having trouble scaling our time, and we're having trouble scaling our dollars, getting the dollars to produce for us. So it's not like just keeping above water. Whether you're like, and some of you may have experienced this that are doing high revenue thresholds. Like if you know what it's like to like barely breathe when you're making $2,000 a month, and then you get to this point where you're making $20,000 a month and you can barely breathe. The question is always like, what the heck changed? I'm making 10 times more, but I can't breathe. Well, you might have trouble scaling your resources and knowing how to do that properly. And so if we can get these 3 things, here's what starts to happen. If we can attract people, attract visitors, and convert customers, then what's gonna happen is we're gonna get orders. And if we can get those customers and do so in a way that is managing our resources properly, then we're going to get profit. If we can manage our time and our money, then we're gonna be able to get a lot bigger, a lot faster, a lot more stably, and we're gonna have profit. And if we can scale our resources and continue to attract, then we're going to have leverage. So if we do all 3 of these things, we're gonna get more orders, we're gonna get more profit, and then ultimately, and again, this is a big part that it's really easy to get caught up in and not be able to, and we're gonna be able to create leverage, which is why we get into business. If it's only you all the time, guess what? You go on vacation, everything flatlines, everything stops. If you can't get your dollars to scale, then we get really stuck. And so if we can't, on the opposite side, like if we can't attract visitors, then here's what happens. So we call this, hold on one second here. So what we like to call this, don't mind my drawing. We call this is the butt crack down here, okay? So the butt crack is not the good part. So what this means is that if we can't attract visitors, what happens is we're reliant on organic and all kinds of other things. And we have inconsistent sales. So if we can't properly get the traffic and have a system for attracting those people, we're gonna have very inconsistent sales in our business. And we're gonna rely on these peaks and these valleys of like, hey, if I go to a farmer's market, I get all these sales. And then if I don't do one this weekend, I don't get all these sales. Or I'm relying on my friends and family to buy from me. Or I'm relying too heavily on my existing base and I'm not attracting enough new people. So I start to exhaust that. And my email revenue percentage goes like 80% because it's just only my email list buys and I'm not getting enough new customers. So we have to get that or we're gonna have inconsistent sales. Now, if we can't convert customers, right, then what's gonna happen? If we can't get them to convert and do so in the right way, then down in this crack right here, we're going to have little profit. And I don't know about you, but I don't like little profit. I'm a guy that I like big profit. Does anyone else like big profit?
He likes big profit and he cannot lie.
Drop it in the chat. Who likes big profit? That's what I like. I like massive fat profits at the end of every single month. Big juicy months of profit.
How much more can we describe it?
What other adjectives can I use?
How uncomfortable can we make our viewers?
All right. Okay, so if we can't convert the customers, then we will lack the profit, right? And so the final thing is this, and this is where I say a lot of us get stuck, is maybe we start getting some of those things, but you become the bottleneck. Or maybe every time you try to push your ad spend higher, right, you get stuck. You're like, hey, I went from $100 to $300 a day, and then things stop working. Or I went from $300 to $500 a day, and then things stop working. And so we're having trouble scaling our resources. And so if we can't do this properly, then something else happens. And this is the worst of all. This is the worst of all. And you can kind of be okay at the beginning stages of your business without this, but as you start to grow, and some of you watching right now, you're to this point where you're like, Josh, I feel like I have no leverage. I feel like it doesn't matter what I do. If I'm not working, my business doesn't really work for me. And I'm constantly burned out and I feel all this fatigue and it's like weighing heavy on me from like a time standpoint, as well as like every time I go to like ramp things up, things fall apart. Or my ad spend becomes a really high percentage and I'm struggling to keep that in check to where it's like my ad spend is like 50% or 60% of my overall revenue. And after my cost of goods and paying myself and my overhead and all this stuff and my variable costs, I'm just getting completely destroyed and eaten alive. Does anybody feel any of these? Now, for me, real quick in the chat, which of these, if you're kind of looking at these different sections right here, attract, convert, scale, where do you think you're struggling the most? If there's like choice number one, choice number two, like are you struggling to attract visitors, convert customers, or scale your resources in time or dollars? Where are you at right now? I want to get a pulse on where the group's kind of hanging. Number one, number two, drop those in.
I always love this drawing. It makes me kind of think of like the Illuminati triangle. You know what I'm talking about? This is
I do.
The Illuminati of running a successful business.
Yes.
I know a lot of people, it just depends on where you're at, but we see often when we encounter new businesses, especially, so focused on the attract part, right? And that's where we see so many getting stuck and saying like, why am I getting stuck there? But ultimately, we see it through the Facebook group, the Max Profits mentorship, and a lot of people coming at just different points in their journey. But yeah.
So with that in mind, there are a couple things we're going to do to start to solve this. So how do we say, okay, well, I need to attract, I need to convert, I need to scale my resources. What are the ways we're going to do this? So in order to get the things that we want, if we want to attract, there are some things that we need to do. And if we were to sum up attract, there are three different things we can really do in this attract phase that are going to get the ball moving. And so the first thing is you need, let me spin this here. You know what we call a cash cow offer. So you need a single entry point of new customer acquisition that is predictable. And we call that an evergreen product funnel, but you need to master a cash cow offer that's going to produce profits. It's going to be stable. And you're going to master the single point of new customer entry in your business. And so, I want to do something real quick here. We're pretty simple here. So we're going to use a simple traffic light system, if that's okay with everybody. And what I want you to do is, there we go, we got red, yellow, and we have green. Okay, so regarding cash cow offers, what I want you to do is I want you to tell me, how do you feel your cash cow, your offer is right now? Red meaning I don't have a single point of entry for new customers right now, and it's just kind of all over the place. Yellow, like I kind of have one, it's kind of working, it's kind of not, I don't really know, I need to probably work on that. And green being like, yep, I have my offer, single point that most of my customers all come through this, whether it's through ads or organic. There's a single point of entry, like a product, a collection, or maybe you have a specific sales page with a funnel that you've kind of built out for it. Where do you feel you are in cash cow offers? And Jake, give me like some of the answers, the most common color that you're kind of seeing in there.
Yeah.
Red, yellow, green. Red, I don't have one at all. I need to. Yellow, it's kind of, I'm still finagling. I'm trying to get it working. Green, we're tight, we're good, we're working.
Yeah.
And
we have a few mixed. Some are Hunter's a green yellow. We have some yeah, I would say most are falling in yellows. Let's see, green. J. Scott Robinson says green local, red online. So definitely sounds like you're running more. Emma is green, so definitely mixed bag between. Most are falling definitely in the yellow category.
okay, cool. So we have yellow. All right, great. So once we have this and we feel good about it, which by the way, a lot of times it's an ever evolving piece. Like you're constantly evolving this. Then we need to move to this phase of, okay, well, now that we have the offer, what do we do with the offer, right? We have the offer, or we have the central product that I want to enter with. Now, what do I do with that? So this is where that 50-60% comes in. And this is where we believe the greatest way of doing that is with Facebook ads. And with Facebook ads, the reason, by the way, we're so bullish and heavy on Facebook ads is because there's so many, it's direct response. We could produce purchases from it. There's also this branding halo effect that begins to happen. The more you advertise, the longer you do it, it creates like this staying power and this familiarity around your brand that we have people that see and engage with our ads, and we have fancy tracking tools that tell us this, and then they come and they buy 372 days later. And so Facebook ads does the best job of that. And a fun little fact for you, so Northbeam and Triple Whale released a case study on the percentage of ad spend by platform that they manage, which those tracking tools, by the way. And they found that 70% of ad spend for direct-to-consumer e-commerce brands was being spent on Meta, 70%. 24% was being spent on Google, and all the rest, which is, by the way, only 4% or 6%, was being spent on everything else. TikTok, Snapchat, Pinterest, X. So if you look at that, where money goes is usually where the value flows. So if most businesses are spending on Meta, it shows where a lot of the value still is. So we're huge. We are huge fans of Facebook ads. We believe this is the best paid source of new customer acquisition. So with Facebook ads, that means that we have to have the right ads for that offer, right? We have to have the right ads. We have to have the right campaign structures, the right targeting, and the right pieces in place in producing for us. So if you're running Facebook ads right now, or you're not, I want you to tell me red, yellow, green for Facebook ads. Red, I'm not running it at all, or it's not doing it. It's like atrocious results. I'm upside down. I can't get it working. Yellow, it's kind of working. Some days it works, and then like it's like a Thursday, and then Facebook decides, hey, you know what? I'm not going to work for you today. In green, we're cooking. I have customers. I'm like in the range of target, a KPI that I have, whether that's ROAS or CPA or whatever the number is. Red, yellow, green, where do you feel you're sitting right now on Facebook ads?
Same here. It looks like another mixed bag. So we have green lights across the board.
Okay.
We have yellow from Hunter, which actually is a lemon emoji. They got the Brewers as yellow. Bloody red for Eric. Yellow for Carrie. Red for Jennifer. I was green and just went to yellow from BJ. So definitely shifted around. Some are even pink. We had a pink in here.
You know, I heard the most yellow, and then I heard the most red, and then I did hear a bloody red. So I'm gonna make this one darker red. There you go. That one's for Eric. All right, great. So once we have the offer and we have Facebook ads, then the next kind of layer in this, if we're gonna attract people, is to begin to set up automations. And what this means is Having automated processes that you follow to make sure that your Facebook ads are profitable and your cash cow offer is being delivered in profitably acquiring those new customers through Facebook ads. And so automations are this component that, again, part of getting leverage is we have to figure out how do we get back time. And to attract people, automations are that next level. This is like a little bit more advanced level. This might look like kind of two ways. So there are actually automations like Facebook ad rules and automations there that flip things when you hit kill switches or it hits a certain threshold of whatever that might be. And then I view the automation of like, we have a systematic process. There's like a systematic process for making decisions. And so this is that next level. Now, I want to know from you in your business, are you using any degree of automations in your business right now regarding Facebook ads and decision-making around that? Red, yellow, green. Red, yellow, green. How do you feel about that? Red, not using automations at all, other than maybe the ad lab method. Or I don't have a whole lot of systems for like decision-making and logic when it comes to like knowing what to do with my Facebook ads.
See, some of you showed up thinking you wouldn't have to participate in this live stream.
Yeah.
You got plenty of work to do.
I told you this is a little different today.
Let's see. Amelia and Mate says running ads but no sales. So red. We have Kristen Field as yellow. Keith is red. Hunter is red. Carrie's green. John Nora's red, but not sure how to do that. J. Scott Robinson here, yellow. So this one's you're seeing a lot more reds. With
I
this
saw
one.
a lot more reds.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put this in here. So once we start to attract visitors here, we have a cash cow offer, we have Facebook ads dialed in, we're getting that working, we're having automations that are then making Facebook ads even more efficient, and it's removing a lot of the time that we have to do in it. Then we start to move to this next level of, we now need to convert these customers. If we're doing this right, by the way, here's what's gonna be happening. You're gonna have this direct response where these people are turning into orders, right? So if we're attracting people and running this, there are gonna be natural orders that begin to occur. But there are also things that we want to do to make sure that we're converting even more efficiently. And so then we move to this next layer here. So in this next layer, we have, the first thing is email. What do you know? It came up. We have email flows. So email flows are going to be the automated emails that you have, whether that's welcome, post-purchase, checkout abandonment, browser abandonment, sunset, win back, whatever that might be. Email flows are those things that are gonna automatically start producing revenue for us, and it's not reliant on ad spend. It's just kind of like closing the back doors on all the traffic that's coming in from our ads and other sources. So with email flows, we have 5 core flows that we teach, but there are a lot more more advanced flows you can kind of dive into as your business grows. But regarding email flows, where do you think you sit? Red, yellow, green. Red, I don't have any flows, I don't have any email tool, or I have an email tool, but I don't have any flows like automations built out in emails. If that is red for you, go ahead and put a note, I need to go work on this. Yellow, like I have some email flows, they're not really producing a whole lot of revenue. Green, yep, got my email flows. I feel good about my flows. They're producing a good amount of my revenue, and email is probably sitting 20 to 30% of my revenue right now.
All right, BJ, red as it gets. Casey, green in this area. Let's see. Carrie, green, but just tweaked the crap out of them. Yellow for Keith, yellow for Kristen's. Let's see, Zach, green, but doesn't have an optimization process in place. Seneca, green, Emma, green, Candy, green.
Got a lot of green.
Hunter, green. So yeah.
I love it. Great. So email flows are the first thing we set up because those are automated, right? Those are things that'll produce sales on autopilot for us. So we need to make sure that our email flows are set up and they are working properly. Once we get through that, we then move to this next layer down, which is similar. This is email campaigns. If you can read my handwriting here. So these are email campaigns. Email campaigns, the things that you're manually scheduling. Now this might look like your weekly email, which all you MPMers that are attending, like, you know what that is, right? We have our weekly email, and then we have our 4 to 6 week promo cycles. Every 4 to 6 weeks, we create cash injection through some sort of a promotion. Red, yellow, green. Hey, red, I'm not sending anything right now. I should, or it's really inconsistent once a month or when I remember. Yellow, I'm sending, but it's maybe a little inconsistent and it's not really producing a whole lot of sales for me. Green, I'm sending consistently at least once a week. I am doing promotions and I am producing sales from my email as a whole. Red, yellow, green. Where are you feeling on this? And I'm glad to hear that email flows was green, by the way, because that's like low hanging fruit. Like you have to do it. Like do not pass go, do not collect $200. All you have to do is do this.
Casey is here with jujitsu.com.
Yes.
And he said AdWords are green, but red on at Facebook ads. So I told him it's time to take Zuck to the mat.
All right, this guy.
Yeah. Zach, green but need to improve. Seneca is green. Casey, green-ish. Rebecca, what if the brand can't be discounted so often? Interesting. Maybe I don't know if we'll have time.
We won't be able to dive into that.
Yeah.
There are ways to do promotions without hurting brand equity or devaluing it.
Hunter is yellowish. Giovanna, and if I'm mispronouncing your name, please let me know. Is yellow, and John yellowish. So a little more yellows in this one.
A little bit more yellows. All right, we got some yellow in here. Bada bing, bada boom. Some of you got some work to do. We got some email campaigns we need to dive to. So once we then do this, we move to this final phase of, well, how do we convert more customers, create more profit? And that is, my friends, the very last step, which is website revenue optimization. I'm not going to spell that out because I will run out of space. And so what this means is focusing in on our conversion rate and our average order value. Those are the two things that produce revenue. And so some of you that listened to the podcast I did last week with Ethan Benz from 4080 Marketing on conversion revenue optimization. This means we want the highest AOV and the highest conversion rate. And there are some things that are in play that these both equal out to revenue per visitor. And so this means that our website is converting and we are also getting the highest average order value that we can. So drop in red, yellow, green, red. Hey, I feel like my website's converting. I feel like it's converting really poorly and my AOV isn't as high as it could be. And I haven't really done anything about it. Yellow, I've done some things about it. Like this might be post-purchase upsell, pre-purchase upsells, downsells, bundling. Those are elements that we can start to really move to the AOV knob with. Maybe I've thought of it, but I've never really done it or had a tool or done any of that. And then green, yep, I'm doing upsells, I'm doing downsells, pre-purchase, post-purchase. I'm considering bundling if it makes sense for me. And I've really optimized my checkout process to get the highest average order value.
And replying to Rebecca too, it looks like the team dropped in how we actually run promo cycles without hurting brand equity, a video we did a while back. That's a really good one. Go check it out.
Oh, shout out to the team.
We got Mila and Mate as red. Let's see here. Seneca's yellow. Zach is yellow. Needs some of the elements. Keith is red. BJ's yellow, but working on it. Emma is yellow. Doreen is green. This one has a mixed bag.
Oh, I like that. Doreen is green.
Doreen is green.
Mixed bag. We're going. You know what we'll do? We'll go yellow. Yeah, mixed bag means yellow.
On
right
average.
In the center there. Great. Now, once we're doing this, we then get to move to this other component that is in my experience the most neglected, because these are the very like sexy things to do, right? Facebook ads, automations, emails, website revenue. Like those are the. Maybe I shouldn't use sexy as a word.
I don't know if that's the right word. I mean, no, automations.
Hey, listen, we teach Facebook ads. We think Facebook ads, they're sexy, let me tell you. They do something for you. All right, so we're scaling our resources and the less attractive thing to do.
There you go.
There are kind of three ways that we break this down. The first one is if you want to, there's a saying by Tony Robbins, where focus goes, energy flows. And we believe heavily in that. And so if you aren't paying attention, if you don't know your numbers, if you don't know how you're doing day over day, week over week, month over month, how are things comparing to when you made this change, right? Sometimes things like happen in our business, and we talk about this all the time in coaching calls. Like sometimes we're like, oh, everything tanked like last Tuesday. And then we're like, well, what, did anything happen on Tuesday? Oh yeah. Well, I redesigned the entire homepage and I also stopped selling that product and it went out of stock. So I'm giving an extreme example, but like we have to note those things. And so to do this, we recommend having a CEO dashboard, which means that you need a central place to look as a business owner, to look at your metrics and to look at the most important things that matter, to monitor your ad spend and your ad spend percentages, and to know the number of orders and new customers and what's going out, what's coming in, your churn rates. If you're a box, right? You have to know these numbers day over day, week over week, month over month, because that allows you to be really proactive and wise and also confident in your decision making in the business. If you're about to go hire someone, or you're about to outsource something, or you're about to buy new equipment, or you want to invest in a new software, or whatever that might be, having a centralized dashboard to know what's my, for example, no, most people don't track this. What's my net cash position? What's my debt? What's my profit? 3 different things. One is cash in the bank minus credit cards. We call that net cash, or minus revolving debts. So there you go. What is my net cash position as of right now? What is my debt as of right now? And what was my profit as of right now, or whatever the time frame is that we're looking at? So red, yellow, green, do you have a way of monitoring every day, every week, every month your metrics? And red means I don't do this at all. Yellow means I'm doing it inconsistently, maybe monthly. Maybe you're just doing it monthly. And green is I do this at least weekly or monthly. And if I want to be dark green, I'm doing this, or bright green, I'm doing this daily. I track my numbers daily, weekly, and monthly. That is bright green. What are you? CEO dashboard. And you may not, we call it a CEO dashboard. It could be anything. You might just have, it's usually a spreadsheet, by the way. It's usually a spreadsheet that we're using for this. And you might call yours something else. But do you have something you're tracking? Red, yellow, green.
All right, Keith, red, Carrie, green with 2 exclamation marks. We have Hunter, orange, bright green for Doreen, light green for Jay Scott, Candy, neon green, checks it too much, Jennifer, green apple, John is red, and are there pre-made dashboards or something you have to build yourself? As Josh just mentioned, we use a dashboard for it. Annabelle, yellow, Kelsey is lime green, and she has a nerdy husband who does it for her.
You know what?
Kelsey's Josh's wife, for those of you who are new here.
I'm gonna say green. It sounded like we had some greens.
A lot of green.
And then we also had a couple of you that were like lime light green. All right, great. So you have a way of monitoring. By the way, our dashboard is a spreadsheet. Like we have fancy tracking tools and Facebook ads dashboards, and we have something called Teddy that tracks like every metric in our business on beautiful charts, and it's a Google Looker Studio if you're familiar with that. But I'm talking a dashboard that is just a spreadsheet. Spreadsheets, by the way, we've learned are the best for this. So day over day, week over week, month over month. You should be monitoring all 3 levels. It is not below you to track your numbers once per day. Now, you may not track every number every day, but there are numbers that to have a pulse on your business, you should be tracking every single day. We do it in our company every day. And trust me, our team hates it because there are so many numbers that I make them fill out. Some are automated, some aren't. And they hate it, but they love it because of the benefits they get as a result of having access to that data that has allowed us to make great strides. So CEO dashboard is the first thing. Now, once we have this point of tracking, then we move to, okay, well, we need to master the art of resource allocation. And so resource allocation means that you're managing your dollars properly. You know where everything is going. You know what we call, and some of you have done these trainings with us where we develop our TAPs and our CAPs. Our target allocation percentages is a percentage of your ad spend to revenue and your current allocation percentage. So you might be saying, hey, I want to spend 25 to 30% of my gross revenue on ads amongst all ad platforms, right? I want to say the 25 to 30%. That's my TAP, my target. And my current allocation might say I'm actually spending 37%. So what that means is I have to reallocate for that week and in that month, and I have to pull things back to get into my target range. And so I need to master the art of allocating my resources of dollars and then also allocating my time properly. Right? If I can allocate my time properly, I become more efficient. I begin to automate different things. I begin using things like Zapier to automate certain procedures inside the business, or I have to learn how to allocate that out time-wise to somebody else within the business that I hire or I outsource to. And so it might look a couple different ways, but it means the allocation of your time and your dollars, because you can't scale if you don't properly allocate. So how do you feel about your resource allocation? And be really honest here. I know we're all gonna put bright green, and I know we're all bright green, but if we weren't bright green, how do you feel about your resource allocation and your ability to manage that and know what to do? Red means I don't even have a target allocation percentage for my ad spend. I'm not tracking that. I feel like I could be a lot more efficient with my time. I feel like I'm really burned out. That to me is red. Yellow means I'm doing it a little bit, not consistently, or I still feel burned out. I'm still juggling a lot of like plates here, and I don't really, I don't know what to hand off next, who to hire next, who to outsource next, or what to get off my plate. Green is like, I feel good about this. I feel like my time is efficient. I am not working every single weekend. I'm not worried about a lot of things because I have systems in place for a lot of this. And my dollars are being allocated properly for ad spend. What are you, red, yellow, or green?
Keith is red. Zach is red. Need more cash flow. Jennifer, bright green. Emma, no color, just sucks, according to her. Eric, red. Giovanna, red. Let's see. Learning and yellow for Mila and Mate. Carrie is yellow. Casey is orange. Seneca is green. And Scott is yellowish headed to green. Good news. And BJ says she loves that our trainings are naturally always on 1.25 speed.
I love it. You don't even have to like turn the speed up. There we go. Cool. So I put a little orange there. I put the yellow on that to make a little bit of orange there. So sounds like we're a little red. Guess what? We have to build a CEO dashboard, get eyes on things, and start to just be really intentional with how we're allocating that. Which brings me to the final thing here. And this is a skill that is required to be learned, and it only comes through experience and time. And this looks multiple different ways, but this is what we call bottleneck clearing. So how good are you at clearing bottlenecks in your business? So this is the high level, but there are subcategories in this. Like a lot of times we bottleneck in we have to know how do we find where that bottleneck is at, right? Is the bottleneck in our offer, right? Is our cash cow offer the bottleneck? Is it our Facebook ads aren't doing really good? Is it maybe my emails aren't producing enough revenue, and so I'm just relying solely on new customers coming in, which I have to put ad money behind, which is way less profitable, and my emails are the bottleneck? Or maybe my website is really struggling and I'm not getting a good average order value. Are you good at identifying and solving the bottlenecks in your business one at a time? We live in a constant state of evolution as business owners. There is always a bottleneck. It doesn't matter where you're at. In the high moments of your business, when things are cooking and cruising, and some of you in Q4, you're like top of the world, like record months here, couldn't be better, there's still a bottleneck in your business somewhere. And it may not be marketing. A lot of times we think the bottleneck is only marketing and the ability to get new customers. No, it changes, right? Then you get into, you're growing, but guess what? Usually not long after, labor becomes a bottleneck, or production or manufacturing becomes a bottleneck, or your delivery becomes a bottleneck, or you become the bottleneck because you don't have enough time to do everything and you feel wildly burnt out. So are you good at identifying those bottlenecks in your business and then clearing those bottlenecks one at a time? Because your job is never going to change. You are always going to have bottlenecks, and you're going to have to be a problem solver. You have to be a creative problem solver. So red, meaning like, hey, honestly, if I'm real with myself, I kind of suck at it. I need to get a lot better at it in a lot of areas, not just ads, but in all these different areas of the business. Yellow, I'm okay at it. I definitely feel stuck right now. So I'm good in some regards, but not in others. I feel stuck in a certain place. Green, like, hey, it's part of the life cycle. I've been doing this. I know exactly how to find a bottleneck, how to remove the bottleneck, and I have good systems in place for doing that.
Zach says yellow. Good identifying, not as so much at solving. I'm still working on it. Emma is green. Jennifer, my store is too new, but in general clearing the bottlenecks is one of my superpowers. Very cool.
Love it.
Giovanna's green. Carrie is yellow. And Mila Mate is red. Seneca, IDing, yes. Green, fixing, yellow. So very cool. So across the board, so we have a little bit more of a mixed bag too. And Hunter's bright green.
And Hunter is definitely bright green. I know Hunter, and Hunter is very good at that. There's two parts, and Zach said it great. Like, hey, maybe identifying is one part, but this is bottleneck clearing. So identifying is the first part, right? First, admitting you have a problem. And then the next part is getting the help that you need, or to fix the thing that you need, right? So first, being able to identify this is the bottleneck. Once you get that skill, that next skill, by the way, unfortunately, it only comes with experience. If you work by yourself and you've never hired an employee, and you get to the point where like, oh my goodness, like I can't do this all on my own, I need to hire someone. Well, that becomes a bottleneck, and the only way you get good at clearing that is by doing it, by having your first hire, by then firing your first person when the time comes, if you have to, and inevitably we all do as we grow a team, and you have to deal with those kinds of things. And in all the scenarios, the only way you get better at that is with time and experience. And so if we look at this grand picture here, the reason I did the little color light system here is because I want you to look and say, hey, maybe you filled this out, maybe you didn't, or maybe you're just kind of looking here and in your head you're doing it. I want you to look at this and say, hey, if I want to create a freedom business that attracts visitors, converts customers, and scales my resources and time and money, then I need to make sure that I have these in place so I can get these orders, I can have big profit, and I can have big leverage. And if these are the systems that I need to develop or go back and work on and improve in my business, then what I want you to do is I want you to put a little star by that area. And so there are 9 core areas here: cash cow offer, Facebook ads. And so if you're watching right now, maybe you have this. All I want you to do is go put a star by, hey, the area that maybe I'm red in this and I'm red in this. And I want you to look at 2 areas that you're red in. It's hard. It might be all red. It might be all red and yellow and maybe 1 green. And so if we're gonna try to, first of all, good step here of bottleneck clearing, this is a good process, is identifying the area and going and doing the work. Going and saying, hey, I'm not very good at resource allocation. Maybe I need to go through one of our, we have a YouTube video on how to manage your ad budgets. We have a PDF guide on it as well. And we just released, I think last week we did a whole live stream on it. It was last Thursday's live stream. Go check that out. I need to get better. I just need to learn and then implement the system. So find at least an area or 2 of your business right here that in general you need to work on, and then go focus on that for the next week and say, this is what I need to work on so I can get all this stuff. I could have the leverage, I could have the orders, I can have the big profit and move forward in my business. And so this is the $1 million model, more like the freedom business model here, because ultimately the dollars don't really matter as long as you're accomplishing the ultimate goal of being happy with where you're at and having the freedom that you truly desire. All right?
Yeah.
So for you, drop in the chat, I wanna know, we'll close out with this, what are those 1 or 2 areas of the business that you're gonna go work on? Drop that in the little chat box there.
It can be so overwhelming when you think about all the things that you need to do, right? So this is such a great training to really help hone in on those areas.
Yep.
Like, this is the next thing I need to do. The next thing gives you a formula to game plan. That's the power of this exercise. So for all you guys that have stuck through this and participated the whole way, drop in those, like, awesome. Hopefully you found it valuable and got a lot through this. Seneca said, firing sucks. Couldn't agree more. Meal and Mate, let's see here. Understand identifying from earlier. Meal and Mate, email flows, ads, Seneca, average order value. Giovanna, all. With the monkey emoji going the eyes.
All right.
Carrie, website revenue optimization and maybe a tweak of the offer. Hunter, Facebook ads and a bit of email campaign management. Eric, conversion and automation. Emma, I need a dashboard. How many free donuts do I have to send to get one? Kimberly, making a habit of getting numbers tracked. Scott, what number do we recommend? Oh, we're getting some questions here. 1 second.
Awesome.
BJ, I know what to do. Email, working on the website to redo a few things and feeling overwhelmed. Hey, next thing, just the next thing we need to focus on. Jennifer, need to find the offer, and Scott, conversions. So a lot of great stuff here. Yeah.
Good stuff. I recommend you write those down and say, hey, the action item is, this is a general area of my business I need to focus on. Now, what I do in there is gonna vary based on my niche, based on where I'm at right now, and go do the work, go do the homework. Say, hey, what do I need to learn in order to implement, and then just start taking action and implementing. Awesome, cool.
Scott had asked, what number do we recommend on dollar spend of revenue? 20%, 25, 30%.
Yeah, great question. Yeah, and actually, let's go ahead and let's drop into let's jump into some questions and answers here in Q&A, not FAQs, Q&A. And just so you know, if you're like, hey, Josh, this is all really cool stuff. Like, I'm interested in learning some of the what behind these. Like, how do you run Facebook ads? How do we build out cash cow offers? How do we do email flows? How do we do website revenue optimization? How do we do email campaigns? What are all the tools? Do you have templates for that? The answer is yes, we do that. We actually teach it inside something called the Max Profits Mentorship. And if you're like, hey, I'm interested in just seeing what it's like for my e-commerce business, does it make sense now? Does it not? we offer free calls. You can actually go and go check out the page. I'll have our team drop a link. Hopefully someone drops a link here that you can kind of go apply, look at it, fill out the form, and then we'll kind of meet with you and say, hey, where are you at in your business? Where are you looking to go? How can we plug in some of these systems to where you're at right now and just really get on a good momentum track for this year? All right, yeah, so let's jump in. If you're good, feel free to hop off. If you have questions, feel free to stay around, and we'll answer questions for the next 5 minutes, and then we'll close out at 1.
Cool.
Okay, so question, what was the question?
Question
Allocation percentage.
Yes, allocation percentage on percentage of revenue going towards your ad spend.
So we actually have a YouTube video on that. I know we're just dropping all kinds of links. We have a YouTube video on it. Go to the Ecommerce Alley YouTube channel. We just released it, I think like 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago. We have a video on it that kind of walks through it. The short answer is 15 to 30%, and I recommend a 5% range. So 15 to 20, 20 to 25, or 25 to 30, and you commit. And if your percentage goes over that, then you have to pull back. If it goes under it, you get to increase your budget that you're spending on ads as a whole. That's the short, quick and dirty answer. And then that 8-minute video will break it down more.
With high dollar product, what amount of time do you need for ramping up to start seeing sales? What amount of time to need for ramping up? So ramp up time to start seeing sales.
Oh, like from ads?
Yeah, from ads with a higher dollar product.
It depends. What's the product price point? Like if it's $1 million, you probably won't get a sale after $100.
What?
And have a 10,000 or 100,000
But if it's $500,000, it should only take you like $12 or something. I don't know.
So the answer is it just kind of depends.
Yeah.
Like, are you in a very unique niche? Because if it's a unique product, then sometimes there's an edge to it. But if it's too unique and it's really hard to understand, then there's like this educational curve, and then the buying cycle is usually longer. So it depends on what the product is and what the price point is what I'd probably say.
Mm-hmm. That was Jennifer's question. She says on average 195, anywhere from 195 to 995.
Gotcha. Yeah. So if you're selling something like that, it depends on the model. It almost sounds like it's like digital products. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we'll spend. It depends on what your model is and what your objective is. Because some people are willing to take a loss. Like I'm willing to take a loss because I know that we have a long lifetime value of customers. But ultimately, to get a sale, like. For a general product, we'll expect to spend at least like 2 to 3 times AOV, average order value, to get the first purchase, and then we expect it to kind of subsequently get cheaper. But to be fair, we also have clients that sell $5,000 and $10,000 products, and so what they do is they create a threshold of like $300 or $400 that they have to spend to get one purchase to show the potential of that. So I don't have an answer. You just kind of have to learn as you kind of go in that. But generally, we expect to spend in the very beginning 2 to 3 times average order value just to find that first purchase. In the beginning part of your advertising journey, it usually takes longer to figure out all the ropes and figure out all the pieces that really work.
Emma says, if I'm already making over 4 return on ad spend on an Advantage Plus campaign, after 2 days, should I increase the budget to increase the $50 budget to after the 7 days?
Yeah, so when do you scale? So there are 4, you're probably hitting your KPI. I forget what your break even was. We met not too long ago. So that means, yeah, you have a license to increase your budget, right? But here's the thing. We want to look at a trend in a more than just a day or 2 or a week. So we like to look at the last 4-week average ad spend percentage and then ask ourselves, is it in the 5% range that we choose? And then if that's 25 to 30 and you're sitting at 10% because that ad's killing it, then yes, increase it. But if you're still sitting at like 40 to 50% or like a high number, for example, in ad spend percentage over the last 4 weeks, then we're not going to increase it. Even though, yeah, that ad is profitable, and that's an unpopular answer. But here's what I want. I want stability. And so I want to say, can you hold the 4 ROAS for like 2 weeks so your revenue keeps rising and your profitability keeps rising and your ad spend percentage goes down, and then and only then do you earn the right to increase ad spend proportionally. Because if not, everything works out as long as everything works out. If you like doubled your spend from like $50 to $100 a day, and then it crashes and burns, now it's in a really bad spot if your ad spend percentage was really high to start with, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna go slower and monitor on an overall business percentage.
Cool. Well, rock and roll. Well, hey, we are
Cool.
about at time here, and it looks like we were good on questions as well.
Awesome. Well, everybody, hey, it was wonderful seeing you. We appreciate all of you. Have a wonderful week, And we'll see. Actually, next week, I will not be here. The next 2 weeks, I am officially out. I will be in the land down under.
We got something fun planned for next week when Josh is out of town.
I'm letting the team just figure out what's happening the next 2 weeks while
Let's just say we're going to spend
Australia.
a little money possibly at some of your stores. So stay tuned to the group, and when that comes out, check it out. Definitely be there. It'll be cool.
Awesome. Hey, good seeing everyone. Have a good day. Bye.
See ya.